The Reagan family, a prominent fixture in American politics and culture, has been the subject of numerous scandals and controversies over the years. Beyond the well-known political events, the personal lives of the Reagans have also been marked by episodes that have shocked and intrigued the public. Here are 10 of the most scandalous and shocking facts about members of the Reagan family. Number 1. Patti Davis's public rebellion against her parents. Patricia Ann Reagan, known professionally as Patti Davis, was born on October 21, 1952, to Ronald and Nancy Reagan. From an early age, she struggled with the rigid expectations of her conservative family, and by the 1980s, she had become a vocal critic of her parents' politics. She fiercely opposed Reagan's stance on nuclear disarmament, joining the anti-nuclear movement and supporting groups like the National Committee for a Sane Nuclear Policy, SANE. In 1986, she published Homefront, a novel that was widely interpreted as a thinly veiled exposé of her family, depicting a political dynasty more invested in public image than in genuine relationships. The book's portrayal of a cold and image-conscious mother drew parallels to Nancy Reagan, straining their already tense relationship. In a move that further shocked conservative circles, Patti posed nude for Playboy in July 1994, stating, "It was my way of saying, I own my body, not my parents, not the public, not anyone else." The pictorial spread included provocative images that many saw as a direct rebuke to her family's moralistic stance. Though she later reconciled with her mother, she remained a fiercely independent voice, openly discussing her past drug use, eating disorders, and struggles with self-identity. Number 2. Michael Reagan's allegations of childhood abuse. Michael Edward Reagan, born John Charles Flower on March 18, 1945, was adopted by Ronald Reagan and his first wife, Jane Wyman. While his father was ascending in Hollywood, Michael felt abandoned, later stating, "My parents were too busy for me." His 1988 autobiography, On the Outside Looking In, contained a harrowing revelation. At the age of 7, he had been sexually abused by a camp counselor at Webb School in Claremont, California. The predator, a photographer from a youth camp, molested Michael under the guise of taking pictures. Michael expressed deep resentment towards his parents, believing that their detachment left him vulnerable. "They put me in a school and left me there," he wrote. He struggled with anger and self-worth issues, later attributing his troubled youth, including a brief involvement in petty crime, to his early trauma. Despite these struggles, he built a career as a conservative radio host and author, often defending his father's legacy while maintaining a complicated personal history with the Reagan family. Number 3. Nancy Reagan's alleged affair with Frank Sinatra. Rumors about an affair between Nancy Reagan and Frank Sinatra gained traction after the publication of Kitty Kelley's 1991 unauthorized biography, Nancy Reagan, The Unauthorized Biography. The book claimed that their alleged rendezvous took place at the White House during Ronald Reagan's presidency. According to Kelley's sources, Sinatra was granted private access to the White House, where he and Nancy allegedly had intimate encounters. The rumors were fueled by Nancy's well-documented admiration for the singer. She reportedly arranged for him to perform at numerous White House events and private gatherings. One source quoted in Kelley's book alleged that, whenever Sinatra came to town, Nancy was at his beck and call. While both Nancy Reagan and Frank Sinatra's representatives denied the claims, speculation persisted. Critics pointed to Nancy's well-known controlling nature and her close relationships with powerful men as circumstantial evidence of a secretive personal life beyond her marriage to Ronald Reagan. Number 4. Ron Reagan's atheism and political commentary. Ronald Prescott Reagan, born May 20, 1958, was an anomaly in the Reagan family, a liberal atheist son of one of the most religiously conservative U.S. presidents. His break from the family's ideology became clear in the 2004 Democratic National Convention when he publicly endorsed John Kerry, attacking the Bush administration and advocating for stem cell research. He once said, "My father would have been embarrassed by what the Republican Party has become." In a widely publicized 2014 commercial for the Freedom from Religion Foundation, he declared, "I'm Ron Reagan, lifelong atheist, not afraid of burning in hell." This statement was a direct rebuke of the evangelical right that had so thoroughly embraced his father. His public stance on issues like LGBTQ+ rights and climate change further distanced him from the Reaganite conservatism of his parents. Number 5. Maureen Reagan's battle with melanoma. Maureen Elizabeth Reagan, born on January 4, 1941, in Los Angeles, was Ronald Reagan's eldest child with actress Jane Wyman. A passionate advocate for women's rights and cancer awareness, Maureen was active in Republican politics, serving as co-chair of the Republican National Committee and leading the National Republican Women's Committee. She even ran unsuccessfully for Congress in California's 36th District in 1982. In 1996, Maureen was diagnosed with melanoma, a severe form of skin cancer. She underwent multiple surgeries and aggressive treatments, but the cancer spread to her brain. Despite her illness, she continued her advocacy work, becoming a board member of the National Coalition for Cancer Survivorship. Her final days were spent at her Sacramento home, where she died on August 8, 2001, at the age of 60. Her death was especially poignant for the Reagan family, as Ronald Reagan, already in the grip of Alzheimer's disease, was reportedly unaware of his daughter's passing. Maureen's battle with cancer brought national attention to skin cancer research and remains a significant part of her legacy. Number 6. Nancy Reagan's influence over White House affairs. Nancy Reagan was often portrayed as a powerful figure within the White House, with significant influence over her husband's decisions and staff appointments. Reports suggested that she played a role in the dismissal of certain officials and had strong opinions about key appointments. Her involvement in administrative affairs led to tensions within the White House staff and fueled public speculation about the extent of her influence. Number 7. Ronald Reagan's alleged involvement in the Debategate scandal. During the 1980 presidential campaign, it was alleged that the Reagan campaign team had obtained confidential briefing materials intended for President Jimmy Carter before a crucial debate. Dubbed Debategate, this controversy raised questions about the ethics of the Reagan campaign and whether the acquired materials gave Reagan an unfair advantage. Investigations ensued, but no definitive conclusions were reached regarding the extent of the misconduct. Number 8. The Reagans' response to the AIDS crisis. The Reagan administration's handling of the AIDS epidemic remains one of its most criticized legacies. The first cases of AIDS were reported in the U.S. in 1981, but President Reagan did not publicly mention the disease until May 31, 1987, during a speech at the Third International AIDS Conference in Washington, D.C., by which time over 20,000 Americans had died. Activists like Larry Kramer of ACT UP accused Reagan of negligence, with Kramer stating, "Reagan's silence was deafening while thousands died." Internal White House memos from the time revealed a lack of urgency, with budget cuts to the CDC and NIH hindering early research efforts. Nancy Reagan also faced backlash for refusing to intervene when close family friend Rock Hudson sought help from the White House for experimental treatment in 1985. The administration's perceived indifference to the epidemic, particularly its impact on the LGBTQ+ community, sparked protests and remains a dark chapter in the Reagan presidency. Number 9. Nancy Reagan's consultation with an astrologer. Following the March 30, 1981, assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan by John Hinckley Jr., Nancy Reagan became obsessed with protecting her husband. She sought guidance from Joan Quigley, an astrologer based in San Francisco, whom she credited with helping prevent future dangers. Quigley advised on everything from the timing of presidential trips to the scheduling of press conferences. Former White House Chief of Staff Donald Reagan wrote, "Practically every major move and decision made by the president during my time in the White House was cleared in advance with a woman in San Francisco who drew up horoscopes." When this was exposed in 1988, it led to widespread ridicule, with Senator Alan Simpson sarcastically commenting, "Good thing the stars aligned for the Reykjavik summit." Nancy defended her actions as motivated by love, though critics saw it as irrational and inappropriate for the leader of the free world. Number 10. Allegations of Ronald Reagan's extramarital affairs. Though Ronald Reagan was celebrated as a devoted husband, particularly during his marriage to Nancy, persistent rumors of extramarital affairs from his Hollywood days have continued to circulate. Actress Jacqueline Park claimed that she had an affair with Reagan in the early 1950s, saying, "He was charming and impossible to resist." Other rumored liaisons included screen legends Doris Day and Lana Turner, though these claims remain unproven. Biographer Lawrence Leamer, in his book Make Believe, The Life of Nancy and Ronald Reagan, wrote that Reagan's youthful days in Hollywood were filled with romantic entanglements, as was common in that world. While Nancy Reagan consistently denied these rumors, they have added complexity to Reagan's carefully cultivated image as a wholesome family man, illustrating the often murky intersection of celebrity, power, and personal life.